loca por un beso de tu boca.
Hi, this is Edith Pajot. I come from France. I am going to record on Sika's guitar some of my arrangements and favorite pieces. I wish you
o sinuelo velho, batendo sincero sobre o pastoreio. Refugão mestiço vem golpeando o laço, se encheu o caço atirando freio. Sei veio o meu mate bem de madrugada, comecei a lidar no clarear do dia. De campo a gritar com a boiada, pra vir pra mangueira do meu mãe e filha. Tudo no Brasil arrisca ligeiro, atira os trejeiros com custo amigo. Garroteando a tropa do berro e do coice, arroja de valente a camperiar comigo. Quem tem pelo braço armada pra chincheira, retumba o escasso sobre o tiro mirador. Já cai a cacada ao centro da mangueira, pronto pra peixeira do meu castrador. Tarde agarrei a cordiona e fiz a chorona igual no espaço. Depois ensinei uma igual a zona, me fui na mangueira do tiro de laço. Levantei o braço e mandei o dançado, parei um zebu já tocou berrando. Em 2 segundos levantou castrado, rebatendo o chifre e saiu tropiquendo. A cachaça na guampa reluz a memória, vai ficar na história o que eu fiz aqui. Fez o seu patrão passar pra mim agora, um verso pra estância e pra construir. Se levar um irmão a canha vai e vem, os bagulhos que assim só bateram tição. Castração labial, outra igual não tem, esse é o ritual aqui no meu rincão. Cair a tarde agarrei a cordiona e fiz a chorona igual no espaço. Depois ensinei uma igual a zona, me fui pra mangueira do estilo de laço. Levantei o braço e mandei o cansado, e a leão que já tomou berrando. E em poucos segundos levantou castrado, rebatendo o chifre saiu tropiquendo. A cachaça na guampa reluz a memória, vai ficar na história o que eu fiz aqui. Veja se o patrão passa pra mim agora, um verso pra estância e pra mim. Se levanta mão a canha vai e vem, os barulhos da cinza só batem. Castração labial, outra igual não tem, esse é igual aqui no meu rincão. Castração a galo. Olá pessoal, aqui é o Gugu Gaiteiro e hoje estou mais uma vez aqui com a parceria da Gabi Yunes, também gaiteira, que veio hoje.
Let's pause that. Oh my gosh, hello, happy Tuesday to y'all. Do y'all hear me? Birdie, let me know how's the audio quality. I don't want to be too quiet, nor do I want to be like peaking or like distorting or anything like that. It's nice to be here. Sorry I started a little late, and oh my gosh, I did not plan enough time. I am overbooked. It's all good stuff. I mean, except for the stupid like sinus cold that I have. But I really thought, hey Heather, Heather's here, and Birdie. All right, Heather says sounds good. Birdie says sounds good. So this is embarrassing. I'm gonna have to finish the reading on the stream, which is like super embarrassing, but the show must go on. You know, we're gonna, as Bill O'Reilly said, you know, I'll do it live. So that's what we'll do when we get there. It's been a full day. It was a full day yesterday and the day before. I went down to Washington, D.C. this weekend, and that was really cool. We hit up a protest around the White House. It was really rainy that day. And then hey, what's up, Kennedy? Thanks for understanding, Heather. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm doing the best I can, and it's all cool, fun stuff. but we saw a really cool dance performance there at a theater in the round. And it was a dance company. There was like 4 male dancers and 3 female dancers. And it was in a small theater where it was like a rectangle shaped stage and not very many levels to the stadium seating or whatever. And we were pretty close. It was really neat, and a little bit of it felt like a basketball arena because at each corner, each of these 4 corners had an entrance onto this stage, and and it was a series of vignettes. She called it the choreographer called it, and artistic director, not choreographer, because different pieces had different choreographers. But she called it an amuse-bouche, which I always think of as the Bloody Mary that has like all the crazy stuff stacked on top of it, you know, like the hamburger and the lobster and like all the stuff. Anyways, a series of vignettes, and there was a live string quartet there, and they played Baroque music, and they played a tango, and they played another like classical piece, which we were really excited about at first because she said it was from Colombian composer, and it was going to be a cumbia, but it didn't sound anything like a cumbia that I associate. But it was, it was like kind of an art classical thing. And that was really neat. And they were on stage along with the dancers. So mostly they were back in one corner for most of the performance. But then on one piece, they spread out. Each one of them was in a different corner of the what do you call it? The stage, rather. So that was really cool. Went to a couple Smithsonians, and the Smithsonians are really neat. They're all free. I didn't grow up in the Northeast or on the East Coast at all, so I'd never been to them until I was an adult. But they're all free. Some of them you need to make a reservation for, like the African American History Museum. You need a reservation for that, which is just a click and put in your name. But those were really cool. And one of the really silly things that I really enjoyed, I had no idea it was going to be. It was at the not the Hirshhorn. What is the name of this one? I forget the name of the museum, but it was like the Museum of Crafts, essentially. So the theme was state fairs. So there was like art, all different kinds of art that was, made from food and all sorts of things. And they had an exact replica of the cow made of butter that is at the Iowa State Fair. And I didn't realize that I would be like starstruck by that cow. For whatever reason, I have grown up, you just hear about the cow, like anytime you hear about the Iowa State Fair, they always mention that cow made of butter. And I never thought I was going to like see it. And I'll tell you what, it photographs really weird. It photographs like in that early episode of The Simpsons when they think Mr. Burns is an alien, because there's something about him that's like super reflective when they take his photograph. It photographs like very, very reflective. I guess that much butter. But I did get this super cool hat from the gift shop. That's all it says. There's no other branding. It just says butter, which I just loved because it reminds me of the cow, and it's a cool, anti-capitalist, even though I bought it in a capitalist situation. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, check butter cow. Well, no, actually, so Heather says check butter cow off the list, but actually, now I feel like I want to see the real butter cow because I was thrilled to see it, and I still am. But then when I read all the information about it, there isn't just one butter cow. They make it new every year, which I guess I never really thought about. It makes a lot of sense. And also, this one is a replica. And this artist who made this butter cow, she isn't even the first butter cow artist. It goes back. It's like a lineage of butter cow artists that gets passed down from one to another, which is like really neat. So I would love to see the Iowa State Fair butter cow. And they also talked about the Minnesota State Fair, which sounds like a big deal too. That seemed really cool. Anyways, that was my weekend. We launched some classes I'll show you guys, and it's not too late to sign up. So this is really great. I felt like we had a really phenomenal class last night. This is a class that I've been talking about on the stream for a while now, and you would know about it if you were on my mailing list. So you want to get on my mailing list. And can you get on my mailing list right now? I'm not sure if you can. Let's see. No, I need to add that. Okay. So I just migrated the website. It's all up and good. I showed you guys last week. I can no longer show you the community because now people are in there, and I don't want to blow them up. But anyway, this course is happening, and it's really great. We had the first class last night, and I'm going to be hustling and getting as much of the materials as I can get done tonight and then early tomorrow, and it should be all done, and then I'll be ahead of the curve. And that was really great, really awesome class. And then this morning I woke up and I made the emails, and then I had a student come, and we met. And there's a thing in town. He's like a major class. There's a guy I've known for a long time. And there's a thing in town that I've told you guys about before called the Bach Choir, and they do Bach at noon. And now it's once a month. In different times, it's been more than once a month. But it's a free concert at the Moravian Church. The Moravian Church predates the founding of the United States. It's from like 1740 or something like that. They were the Moravians were the people who settled this area from Moravia or Germany or somewhere around there. Ye old. Anyways, they do this free concert, and it's wonderful. I mean, they hire a lot of professional musicians. The vocalists are always insanely good. They choose a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm gonna see if I can find. I try to do a walk in the morning to get the sunlight in my eyes because of Andrew Huberman, who talks about brain science, which ties into the book topic that the book club that we're gonna do. See if I can find that. I had the program here. Oh, you know what? I know it was here, unless I listened to something else. Shoot. Can you see your history? Okay, BWV 153. Let's see if we can find BWV 153. So when I went on my walk, I listened. I was like, well, okay, I actually remembered to like listen ahead today. You know, because it's like if you can know something about especially classical music, I feel like classical music, opera, if I can know something about the work, if I have listened to the work ahead of time, maybe learned a little bit about it, but especially listened to it, I feel like I enjoy what I'm hearing more. Not so much for movies. If I'm going to see a movie, I don't want to know anything about it really. Just somebody tell me it's good. Go see it. But for classical music, I like to know. And today I did. And so my major thing when I listened to this, I was like, oh, badass. Like this is all minor and there's a bunch of diminished chords and stuff. How cool. This is a multi-movement work, but you'll get the vibe. So I was really excited. And this was the final piece on the concert. It's only an hour concert, although they went longer today. It was cool. This was not the concert I saw today. This is another performer. Okay, well, that's wild because mine did not start with this. They started right with the singers. I love when they answer back and forth like that. Buxtehude does a lot of that. Anyways, that was really neat. I just saw that today. Then as I was in the concert with this student that I had just taught the student, and here we are, we're locked in with all these other people. Then I get this text from somebody I know that's like, oh, there's an ice sighting over by the high school. Can you go and check it out, or can anybody go? And da 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 da. And so I'm like, you know, watching this and like being like, shit, should I go? But I don't know. I have a guest here and stuff. And then before I could make a decision to leave or not, I was like, okay, it was determined to not be a real thing. So that's cool. But then it was like an experience of like juxtaposing the beauty of this music, the privilege of not feeling like my life is in peril for being, you know, just abducted and put into like abject misery. I mean, the abused and all that kind of shit, and then shipped off to God knows where. And here I am, relatively self and sound. I don't know. It was a weird thing. Anyway, so that was the concert. Then I saw another friend. I left. I walked back, and I kind of lost track of time. Then I realized that I had set up a 15-minute phone call with a student. Like you could sign up on my website. So then I got on the phone with her. I was like, okay, cool. And then I started reading the chapter, and I'm trying to take my time. It's like she's talking about science and all this kind of neat stuff. I'm taking my time, and then I realized, like, holy shit, I'm nowhere near finishing this chapter, and I can't speed read through this. Like, this is not the kind of subject that I could, nor do I want to. So anyway, so I ran out of time. So I'm just gonna go with it. I will complete the chapter live on air, and I apologize if that's bad TV, but I'm gonna make it work sometime. Yeah, Tom says or shot exactly. Yeah, or shot exactly. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the good news is that there's a network of people looking out, and I'm part of it. And that apparently they weren't posted up outside the high school. Like, oh my God. That's the good news. And the bad news is all the bad news we know about. So I hope you guys are all safe and sound out there. Let's see. So yeah, things are freaking crazy. Things are crazy. Is this fascism? I mean, how could it not be? And we gotta fight for our rights. So yeah, I marched around the White House. I was emboldened with other people. We're part of safety networks to spread the word. We have to vote, of course, and put energy on our elected officials and make this stop and go away. Theoretically, it's our country, right? Okay, so that's a good moment to segue into the thing that I like to say at the beginning of I haven't introduced myself. Okay, so I just kind of came in out of like, I didn't do the reading. Okay, so my name's Dallas, and you can see it right down there. This is my live stream, ostensibly about accordion music, although I did play some accordion music at the top. I do this every Tuesday. I'm a teacher, and the reason why I do this live stream is for me to learn and also to kind of put myself out there in the world so people can find me. And if I seem like somebody you think you can learn from, then you can sign up for lessons and all that sort of stuff. My website is called RisingReed, RisingReed. I'll pop that up on the screen here, right over here. There it is, RisingReed. So Rising, it's not greed, it's read, and .com. So you can find me there, and you can book a free call up here, which is what I took care of earlier today. Anyways, that's how I pay the bills and the rent and all of the bills that just keep getting more and more. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Anyways, but we have music and we have each other, and we're not the first people to live through challenging times and survive. So we can do it. It's not easy and it's not fair. Okay, so then this is the thing that I read because we are in weird, troubling times right now, and this is it's not a time to be apolitical, in my opinion. This live stream is pro-accordion, it's pro-musicians' rights and representation. It's pro-educators' rights and representation. We're pro-LGBTQIA+, we're pro-gender equality, we're pro-feminist, pro-democracy, pro-political plurality. We are pro-peaceful assembling. We are pro-immigrant and pro-immigration. We are anti-fascist. We are anti-fascist. My grandfather fought in World War II, one of my grandfathers, for the British. He was in war and he fixed tanks. I don't know if he saw battle at all, but that's what he did. And they were fighting fascists then. So I'm 2 generations removed from a relative of mine who fought fascists. And his wife, my grandmother, was bombed by the Nazis in Scotland in a factory. And I'm an immigrant myself, and I have the privilege of not having a complexion of skin that the Supreme Court said is legal to just get rolled and abused and have all your rights taken away. It's absolutely disgusting. Okay, so we're anti-fascist, anti-white supremacist, anti-war, anti-genocide of the Palestinian people. We're pro-public funding for the arts, pro-public education, pro-public educators, pro-all educators, pro-academia, pro-university, junior college. And I guess I just say all that because learning and truth and news and facts and science is all super important. And one of the things we're going to do today is get into that wonderful book on science. All right. And that's all to say. So if these things are provocative to you, I don't know what to tell you. This might not be the right fit for you. You can hang out. You can do those things. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. Go find another really badass, cool accordion community to be part of. If you're all about ice, that's what I have to say to you, honestly. I don't want to give my goodness to you. It's horrible. It's an absolutely disgusting, horrible thing. Okay. All right. Now, moving forward. So today on the live stream, the other thing that I'm not sure how this is going to go. I was like, oh, what could I do today? So in addition to book club, I was like, okay, I could try out ear training apps and all that kind of stuff. So that'd be really cool. So that's what we're going to do. Give me a moment to kind of get my things together as I sat down here. We'll check out another accordion. We'll check out some more beautiful music that we like. I'll connect my phone. And I thought I could like just test out ear training apps. And I had hoped to have some time to like create a login because you know I'm going to have to, Kennedy. Thank you, Kennedy. Yeah. And I love my community. I'm privileged to be part of you guys. Thank God for music. I completely agree. It's true. It's true. I think, you know, I certainly feel like in high school, junior high and high school, I'm so lucky that music was my thing and I found the other people my age in my classes that were into music because I would not have had a pathway, you know. And in that I found myself and I found nourishing art and I found the artists that I love and idolize and have heroes of and the tradition, all that kind of stuff. Anyways. Yeah, it's the art, the artwork, it's the history, and it's the community that we have around music, you know, that keeps all that sort of stuff sane. Okie dokie. All right, so I'm going to put on some more music and hook up the phone, and I'll tell you guys more about the ear training thing as we go. This is one of those, usually when I don't have time to prepare, I just say I didn't prepare anything and we just watch videos for 2 hours. This time I had a plan that I advertised, so I must execute. So you guys are going to have to bear with me. But I think you'll have a good time. Alrighty. This looks cool. Whoa, oh, C4 Trio. I love them. That's 4 Quattro players from Venezuela. They are so ridiculous. Okay, cool. It's not that I didn't think that was cool. It's just that I was hoping for a brief musical interlude, and it didn't even get the C4 Trio yet. Sorry, no disrespect to pianists. That was really cool and weird. That was way more chill and romantic than I was expecting. Usually those guys are like, not that I didn't love it. That was really beautiful. But that was like a bolero or a danzón or something. Not what I was expecting. Anyways, that was really cool. What's up, Nomad Farmer? Okay, cool. Thank you for saying hi. It's great to see you. Yeah, Birdie says not what I was expecting from a quattro trio. Usually it's like I don't know, putting your face into the top of a volcano. It's like the most intense, insane stuff. Which I don't know. Bravo for them for having range and stuff. Anyways, not what I was expecting. So I got prepared. Why don't we up tempo crazy? Yeah. Why don't we start with so here, let's go into apps for learning ear training. So what I want to do over the next, I don't know, half an hour or so is I want to try out some apps that a couple of them I have tried. One at least I've tried a bunch. I really love it. Many of the others I haven't tried, and I'm gonna have to turn off the screen while I make an account and then turn it back on. It should be, if it works, it should be quick. Anyway, that's kind of a review anyways. So I'll be testing these live, and my needs in an ear training app are different than somebody else's needs, right? They're amongst all the musicians I know, I don't have the best ears. There are many musicians that I know that have way better ears. All of them do ear training techniques and stuff like that. Maybe I know a couple kind of savant type people that just are just gifted, you know. But for most cases, even people with absolute pitch, you got to study harmony. I mean, most people do. You know, you need to know the system around what you're hearing, the naming around what you're hearing, a system so you can make it come out of your instrument, I would say. Anyways, so I'm just trying to establish people's what you need from an app is going to be individual, quite individual. And so whatever I'm looking at is very just unique to where I'm at and what I think is interesting. However, I'm also going to sort of highlight my perspective on learning ear training, usefulness, and a concept of ear training. And one of the things I can say that is a very common thing, and I even heard it mentioned in an ATG teach talk thing that I did, which is it's something that I feel very, very strongly about, and it's misinformation out there that we've all heard, and that is that one of the goals is to learn the sound of different intervals. Here comes the bride. That's a perfect fourth. And so you should know that, and we should have these like music mnemonic devices. So, for example, well, that was an example. Here comes the bride. And B, let's see. Mo do 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 dum da. And B. For the NBC, I don't even know if they still do that. I haven't watched NBC in a million years, but NBC, that first interval, NB is a major sixth. A minor sixth is anyway, it's just these little tiny musical memories that you could use to help identify intervals. In my opinion, and especially in my experience, yeah, Maria. Heather has one. I'll highlight that on the screen. So Heather says, Maria from West Side Story. So the thing about these is you have to know the melody. So they're useful if you've got a collection of memories of the song already, you know? However, in my own experience, going from like not using my ears to learn music or play music or anything like that, just like being very sheet music based, even in jazz, not using my ears to hear stuff. When I did decide I want to work on my hearing, I tried that. That stuff is useless. Do you want to learn intervals? Yeah, you do. And you want to understand, you got to learn intervals. That's just a part. So when they talk about music theory, that's part of the theory of music. The theory is naming systems, essentially. That's what the theory part of it means. It doesn't really, anyways. But, so Heather says, takes too long, good for the quiz. Yeah, I agree. I know it. Yeah. So don't do that. Do not do that. Don't go around. Don't think that the way to get a better ear is to have these little mnemonic devices for intervals. That's not what's going to help you. What you want to do, this is my experience and my opinion from that experience, is you want to hear a tonality, and this is the way I teach, and this is the way I've learned to hear. This is what it is. We are hearing tonalities, and the better ear you have, the more fine you can identify, especially chromatic things, certain diatonic, and what that means is diatonic means of the major scale or of the minor scale. So of the scale you're in, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All those notes are diatonic to that key, and we tend to hear those quicker. And some of those we hear more quickly than others. So usually the root of the tonality, do, is the first place we start, and that's also how you identify everything else around it. So when you're working on ear training, what you want is you want to work on your ability to hear things within a tonality. And so you want to work to identify where is the bottom of this tonality that I'm hearing when you're entering a musical situation. So I would say here are the two ways that we use our ability to have a great ear. The first is externally. So you're listening to a piece of music, either a recording or a live piece of music. It's coming to you from outside. It is rarefactions and compressions of air. So it's sound waves. They hit your eardrums. They go to your brain, and you hear that from the outside, right? And you want to know. It's just like a language. Like you don't hear. You want to hear the words and understand it. And that's what you want. So when you hear music, you want to go, that's the 1 chord, that's the 6 chord, that's the 2 chord, that's the 5 of 3. Then it modulated, I think it modulated up a minor third. Now it's doing chord progression there. Or it's just going 1, 6, 4, 3, or whatever it's doing. Okay, cool. And the melody it's starting on the 3rd and the 4th, and it's 3, 4, 2, and then a little bend up, and then whatever. You can hear all that stuff. You can learn, and I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but it's thrilling. It's amazing. I mean, it's the best when you can hear all that kind of stuff, and you can absolutely learn how to do it. And that is what you want. So that's all based on identifying a tonality, right? So learning to go, I'm in this key, E flat minor or whatever, And when we do it with our ears, all you have to know is I am hearing a major key or I'm hearing a minor key. And depending on the complexity of the harmony, it might be moving between multiple key centers rapidly, or it might be very simple and staying in one key center. You might have many chords. You might have only a few chords. The chords might be very chromatic in nature. They might be very diatonic in nature. That's all part of, that's sort of vocabulary, to have a large vocabulary of the words in the language. You want to be able to say more than just hello and goodbye. In the language, you want to have a full native speaker's vocabulary if you can. So anyway, so that's the skill you're after, and you would use it hearing things outside. And then when you hear ideas in your head, you want to get those out. So what I'm hearing in my head, that's how it is. I mean, it's the same as if I'm learning a language, I want to be able to, when somebody says something to me, right? I know what they said. So I'm talking to you. You tell me a thing in a language that I'm learning, that I'm becoming fluent in, I can understand you. And then in my own head, I can use that language and I can get it out and I can hear the pronunciation. I can remember the words and stuff to say, and I can use my mouth and vocal cords to get it out. And you can understand because the way I made it sound was correct. So you can understand. So it sounded like the language and not like something else, right? To somebody who knows language. So this is the equivalent of hearing it inside of our heads. So anyways, that's what we want to have, and you can absolutely get there. Everybody can. The first place to start is pitch matching. So we want to be using our voices a ton. And because we want to be using our voices a ton, singing apps that help singing are super important. There's a really amazing one that, let's see, I just sent this to. Oh, I don't know. Younger people who are on TikTok. Well, I shouldn't. Older people might be on TikTok too. I'm like a elder millennial, almost Gen X age, so I'm not on TikTok. I can't handle it. It like freaks me out. It causes too much anxiety. But there are ear training games on TikTok, so I understand. This is not the first time I've seen people post video of this. Let me see if we can watch this without me having to log in. This is something somebody posted on Reddit. So this is. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. All right, so here, let's watch all this together. So this is pretty cool. And apparently this is just a game that you can play on TikTok. Are you seeing that? Yeah, okay. So we'll watch a little bit of this. So this was posted because it's funny. So there's two things happening. This is kind of a meta thing. One is this pianist has created a piano score to match the melodies that the guy playing the game is singing, and so that's why it's funny. So if you play the game, you don't get the piano player. That's something else. Anyway, it's the same thing, and it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. But where I was trying to go with this is singing apps are awesome, and that is really neat. It displays your pitch with this little ball that moves through a hole. That's very fun. That's gamification of the whole process. Really neat. I would do that. That looks fun for intonation. That's for intonation. And there are other ones I'll show you guys too. So anyway, so we want to be working on our ears, and singing is a way. So this is just my little preamble before we go into it. What are you saying, Ed? Not on this video, but nice ear training tune from a couple weeks ago here. Do, do, ti, la, sol, ti, do. Do, do, ti, let's see. Do, ti, sol, la, ti, let's see. Do, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, sol, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, sol, la, ti, do. Let's see. Do, do, ti, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, sol, la, ti, do. Is that what it was? Did I get it right finally? I'm trying to figure that out. Ed's solfege challenge. Did I sing it correctly? This is the fun thing about, we don't know. Oh, do, 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 do. Oh, thank you. It's somewhere over the rainbow. But it's also bum ba dee do da da dum. Do, do, ti, sol, la, ti, do. Do, la, sol. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Birdie. When the student becomes the teacher. Okay. So we don't care about intervals are not useful. So instead of intervals, you want to get yourself to where you could hear a tonality. That's my tonality, and this is what I'm teaching in the jazz chords class, because we're working on our ears just as much as we're working on our hands and our music theory. But those are the three parts. Is we want to be able to we practice with our voice, so we make a tonality. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do, re, mi, fa, sol, right? And that now we've created this loop in ourselves. So we hear it out. We made it into the world, and we hear it back, and somehow that's works better than only hearing it in your head, because not that we don't want to hear it in our head, but a lot of times we're better with that. Anyways, and then you want to practice. Could I hear sol? What does sol sound like? Sing it. What are all the steps of the scale? So the solfege is just a different numbering system. So instead of 1, it's do. Instead of 2, it's re. Instead of 3, it's mi. At least movable solfege, which is what we want. We don't care about fixed solfege, fixed do. Anyways, okay. So that's what you want. You want to hear that. And then we want, well, we'll see. We'll see what's useful. So essentially, like, the world of ear training apps is usually chopped up into two different things to work on. Melodies and chords and harmony are the two different things to work on. So why don't we jump in and start with the two browser apps that I had. And these are, I did a little bit of research today on browser apps. Okay, so here, I don't want to show you guys my password that I make, but let me create a free account on ToneGym. We're going to start with ToneGym. And I did a little research. Usually when I'm looking for recommendations, I ask my question to Google, and then at the end of it I put Reddit. Because Reddit is the last place on the internet where mostly real live human beings that claim to have experience post cogent, real answers to things in my experience. So I like that. And there's a joke about AI that all AI is doing when you ask it questions is just searching Reddit. Let's see. Okay, I have to check my email inbox to confirm. All right. Oh, 1 moment. Activate. Yes, I will activate. All right. Just grabbing this link. Everybody knows about this part of the process. Okay. All right. So I'm in, so I can share. So this one is Tone Gym. I have to enter a date of birth. That's a little weird. 1990. That's not my date of birth, but... Okay. Select the skills that you want to improve. Well, overall musicality, which doesn't tell us anything. Chords and progressions. Oh, cool. All right. So they're gonna test me, and so it's like an entrance exam. This is cool. Let's see. Let me show myself on screen. Somehow, I accidentally got rid of myself. There I am. Okay. All right. There we go. So. Da dum. Da da. Another octave. Major third. Another major third. Same note even. Come on. Da da da. Perfect fifth. Da da. Perfect fourth. Octave. Okay. Okay. Chord recognition. Now I wonder, here, chime in the chat and let me know, would you guys have gotten all those intervals? I wonder. And those are relative. So you'll learn, I don't know. Like each one of those kind of sounded like a new tonality to me. But you need to, I guess again, you need to learn intervals, but you don't want to. That is just, learning them that way is so wrong. I don't know who ever thought of that. Okay, play it again. Is that major or minor? The bell chime is distracting. That's not fair. They shouldn't, it should be not pitched. Major 7. Okay, continue. Nice work. Okay, progressions I know. Well, this is kind of, I'm sorry, this is boring, but this is how this app works. So they give you this test thing. That's the first chord. Okay, so they gave me the tonality, dum dum dum, and then they played those three together, and then they played the first chord and the second chord. So those are two different chords, so I know that it's a 1 chord and a 4 chord. All right. Okay, that's 1, 2, 4. Oh, okay. Well, it definitely starts on a 2. I need to hear this one again. It kind of sounded like 2, 1. If I had to pick right now, I would go with this one. 2, 1, 5. But let's hear that again. You know, the thing is, that's not a chord progression that I hear very often at all. That's like, And that's the other thing that is a peril with these is you'll spend a lot of wasted time. Oh, Mike Siaka, thank you for chiming in. I'm terrible at this, but I got better as you went along. Cool. Bonus points for saying what the bell chime tone is to the root of the. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a cute. That definitely that would have been. Yes, and that would be better. So Heather's making a joke about hearing the bell chime tone as it relates to the rest of the tonality there. Anyways, okay, so I think that's 215, but let's hear it again. So the thing that's driving me most to this decision, the other thing, okay, so I'm going to be throwing out like advice and stuff. I forgot about my overall preamble about all these apps. So, have you ever used Duolingo? Has anybody out there ever, I'm taking a trip to this place or this country and I need to learn some of the language really quick. Let me get Duolingo. How fluent does Duolingo get you? It doesn't get you fluent at all. It makes you a little bit more familiar in a very casual, fun way with some of the vocabulary, essentially. Some of the concepts of vocabulary. It doesn't teach you any rules. It doesn't give you really phrases and stuff. Heather says, use Duolingo wanted to kill the little bird. So it's good at like kind of helping out scratching little bits of the itch and giving you a little bit more. But to get fluent, you got to do a bunch of different stuff. So if you want to get any kind of even beginner level fluency with ear training, an app is not going to do it. It's going to be like one little additional thing that's going to be on a phone in your pocket or whatever that you could pick up and do that will give you some information. But there are many other things that you need to do, and I can explain some of those. Anyways, geez, I'm all over the place. I'm starting late. I didn't finish the reading. Now we've only just started this first one that's going on forever. That's okay. All right, so back to this. So, yeah. So I guess the other thing I was going to say too is I don't like this because this is, I'm going to say it's 215. Let's see if I'm right. Yes. I listened to the bass notes there. That was my main clue. Okay. 4 1 4 3 4 1 3. I think. Let's hear it one more time. 1 2 3. Yeah. Okay. The roots are your major thing, and that's why I'm having us in the jazz class. We're singing the roots. You got to sing the roots. You got to sing the roots. The roots. We're gonna sing other stuff too, but the roots are the major thing. So you can tell, if it's major or minor. So I'm looking at those four things, and I definitely heard, diminished to 1, and all of these options are, diminished 7 to 1. But then 2 of them are major and 2 of them are minor. And you know that from the uppercase Roman numerals or the lowercase Roman numerals. And I think most of us can immediately differentiate between a minor chord and a major chord. You might not know which part of the scale it was. So I know that it's either 712 or 713. Let's hear it again. I'm going to say 2. Yeah. Okay. That was a chord progression that I've heard a million times. All right. Look at this. Look how good I am, everybody. Okay. Pick my training path. Okay. I'm not paying for anything today. All right. So we'll spend a little bit of time. So that's kind of neat. And this was, I don't want to start a workout yet. Okay. So we got a community. I could test my vocal range. There's a whole bunch of stuff. We have a comment from today. Rhythmic Parrot is such a silly game. Is there a better way to input rather than just the space bar? Okay, so there are games. Let's play a game here. Let's play. Oh, we can't play Rhythmic Parrot. Okay, we can only play Cordelius. Let's play Cordelius. No, but it wasn't locked. I wanted to play a game. All right, let me train then. Oh yeah, that's minor. Okay, so here, let me share more of the screen because you guys can't see the other stuff here. All right, so this is kind of cute. This is gamification. See, this is lives. So you have 3 lives. What happens if I die? I'm going to put major. Okay, so I lost one of my lives. That's fun. Okay. Now let's see what happens when I die. Okay. Now what happens? Game over. Okay. All right, so, you know, it tells you how you did. All right, that's fun. What is learn? All right, well, this at least shows us the format of this. Let's check out this other one. Let's go to another app. So this is Tone Gym. At least you get, like, you can do a little bit of stuff with the free version. So this is Chord Crush. I like that gradient, and I like the font that they have. Okay. Let's solve the daily challenge. This is cool. It's a lot. It's a lot on my senses. Drag and drop to fill in the missing chords. Okay. Okay. Oh, I like this. Okay. What?
Only talk to God when I need a favor.
Yeah.
And
Cool. Ooh, I like this. They're using Jelly Roll. They're using real music. Yes, this is badass. Okay, I love this. I love this. Okay. So if I want to hear it again, what do I do? It's oh shit. It's like bum bum dum da dum dum day. All right. How do I hear the example again? I want to hear it again.
only talk to God when I need a favor. And
Man. Dum da 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 da. Dum da dum da. Does it go to major 4? 1 to the major 4.
only talk to God when I need a favor.
No, I was wrong. Cool. That's it. That was the daily challenge. I only get that one. What was it? What was it? Okay. All right. This is fun. I'm in. This is I love this shit. So this is what Chpt does. When we get to Chpt uses here and there uses real songs, which is badass. This is what you want. You guys want an app like this. Okay. So what does Nomad Farmer say? Tom said yes. Nomad Farmer says the main thing on free Tone Gym is the training, and you can only do like a few minutes a day. Oh, so you're familiar with that. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I want to keep playing this one. This one's really cool. Chord Crush. All right. So identify chord progressions from real songs at your scale. I love this. Okay. Yeah. YouTube, of course. So, dum da da da. Okay, I need your guys. Anybody with a good ear? I don't think that the scroll thing is matching what we're hearing, because like according to the scroll thing. That's okay. So unfortunately, this is broken because I wonder if this is like all built on AI and it's just broken. Because ba 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 ba, it's going 1-4-1-5 is what I'm hearing. Bop dip dop dop bo bo. Dop dip dop dop. Dop dip da da do. Dip da da bop dip da do do da. I'm hearing 1415, but I don't know. That is not represented. I don't know what to do. Let me look at the chat. What are you guys telling me? Nomad Farmer heard 1415. So Nomad Farmer, this app is called Chord Crush. But like, what do I do? Do I put in a 4 because it's gonna go 141? That's bullshit. Okay, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. I love the idea if it works. Error 150. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says error 150. Okay. Okay. All right. That was accurate. That was accurate. So I heard the same chord. Let me play it again. See if you guys hear it too. This is cool. All right. This one I like. And you know, again, it's going to just work a little tiny bit, but it's good. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's see if we can get a few more, and then I might recommend it.
Flashing around in the muck and the mire.
Okay, that was the same chord. See? Wait a minute. It goes to the 1. Or no, it goes to the 4. Okay. But it's not, this is another example where it's not, the scrolling bar is not lining up with what we're hearing. Like, because right here, I'll show you where, like somewhere around here. Right. That's where it's going back to the 4. That's kind of bullshit. All right, the fact that it's broken sucks. If this wasn't broken, this would be awesome.
In the other one's hand, things I felt but I never said.
All right. It's also really challenging because like you don't. It's hard. It's good. I mean, it's good that it's hard, but it's like you're just blasted with this new chord, and you're told like you're hearing 5, and you're like, oh shit, that's 5. Wait a minute, I didn't determine 1 yet. But it's good. I mean, that's good. It's a good challenge. It's not bad. The only bad thing about this is that sometimes it's just broken in how it's supposed to do. Okay, I'm having fun though, so I would recommend this one, and this one too. I would suggest, like I would suggest people do this, and if they're just frustrated by one, just skip it. Just go to another one. This is cool, and you could do this with your accordion on, also, which would be great. It would be great. Things that I wish it was longer, and I wish it would just loop. I just wish it would keep looping, and then when you know what the answer is, after it's just kept looping ad infinitum, you could, or at least there was an option for that. Okay, pardon me. Let's do one more, and then we'll go on to another app. But this is cool. This one is cool.
On in the other one's hand, things I felt but I never said.
So, sing along with it. Dun, dun, dun.
On in the other one's hand, things I felt but I never said.
So, the 5, then goes to the 1, 2, and then goes to 3. So, I'm going to say 1 is here. Yay! Okay. That was really cool. I like that one. Nomad Farmer says it only cares what the second chord is. Is that what's going on? I guess it only cares what the second chord is. Okay. So, I suppose you can just, you don't need to have the bar. Nomad Farmer figured it out. It only cares what the second chord is. All right. And Heather says the music between the songs is so annoying. I wonder if it could be turned off with the paid version. Yeah, I don't know. But I do like the weird little melody that it plays to, like, I like that it's like we can do this better and cooler. and better and cooler. I like that. I like the gradients. I like that this is fun. I like the little, I don't know what you call this style of design, but I like it. I like it. Okay. That's cool. That's fun. And I had fun. I need to manage myself and say, no, we need to keep going here. So I can't keep doing that. So we're going to go on. I'm going to connect my iPhone now. And we'll switch to iPhone apps. And if anybody has an app you want me to check out while we have time, let me know. I guess I'll go a little bit over the hour because I started late. Give me a second. I gotta plug my computer again. And again. All right. Okay. So one of the absolute best here's the best thing that you could do. Have a friend who plays another instrument who is fun to hang around with and can be who is fun. Then the two of you get your instruments, whatever instrument your friend plays and whatever instrument you play. You put on speakers that are loud in a room, and you go back and forth, and you pick a song, and you guys hit play on the music, and you, with your instruments, you just try to figure out as much as you can. And you have to keep playing along with the song until it's over. And there's nobody's apologizing. No one's trying to be better than they are. You guys are both enjoying yourselves and having a good time, and you're just trying to figure it out in the moment as it's happening. The two of you. And it's fun because you and your friend are both doing it and it's loud. And so no matter how wrong you are, the music is still louder than both of you. This is the best way. This is the best kind of ear training that you could have, or amongst the best. If there's a list of the best, it's there. It's there. And it costs no money. You need to have a friend who plays an instrument who wants to learn like this. That's it. That's all you need. This is my best advice. It's simple. It's amazing. And it's just the best. It's just the best. So do that. It doesn't work as well alone because it's not as fun. It's just too fatiguing. You get bored. You get in your head. You know, it's exhausting. It's not that you don't want to do ear training work, but it's not fun. If you can learn and it's fun, then you just keep going. You don't want to stop. So that's my best advice. Just like learning a language, immerse yourself. Okay. Let's see. I got to connect my phone. Let's try to connect my phone. Do I see my phone here? There it is. I don't know that I've shared my phone screen on the... I'm terrified I'm going to get like some sort of rude text from a friend. Anyway. We'll see. I'm on Do Not Disturb mode. If I go to airplane mode, that'll still keep me on Wi-Fi, won't it? Yeah, that's good. Okay, there I am. All right. This is always terrifying. Don't dox your friends. Don't dox yourself. Okay. All right. Passed the first test. Okay, so here, let's start with an app that I know and use and have used, and it's great. And it was my favorite until I found Chord Crush. Chord Crush is badass. I love Chord Crush. All right. Let's see. Oh, here, let's see what Nomad Farmer said. It is annoying, but I like that there's something as a palate cleanser. I've had trouble with ear training apps where my brain is still in the previous key center. Yeah, same, Nomad Farmer. I absolutely find that that's the same. I also love that that's how the human brain works. It's like, I wish there's got to be a name for it, right? That's so fun. Okay, so there's my phone. Here. So let's start with Chet. No, Chet. There we go. Okay, so here's Chet. And this is, if you just open Chet, you'd start, I assume you start here. I've showed Chet on the live stream before, a couple of years ago. It's fantastic. You can get so much out of the free version of Chet. It's really incredible. I love Chet so much that I actually signed up for like a phone call to give them like feedback on the app or whatever. You know, and they hit me up, and it was cool, and I learned about the development of the app, and they told me about the other app, Ella. So anyway, so let's do chat together. So, Unit 1, introducing major melodies. So, it's gamified, so you progress along the path like Super Mario Brothers 3. In this game, you'll explore 2 notes. Play back what you hear. So you have to perform it on the piano keyboard. The first note is highlighted. And so there is different ways that you could do this too. So I asked about this, and you can set this up. Let's see. You can note subtitles. Movable do. How badass is that? The instrument. You could hear different instruments. I don't know what happens if you, let's see. Shit, look at that. If you're a guitar player, you want to learn guitar. That's so cool. If you're a bass player, I can't demonstrate these because I wouldn't know how to do it. You can be left-handed, show the possible pitches. This is badass. Okay, so cool. All right. Sight singing. I don't know what sight singing is, but oh, so sight singing is just you can tell it your range. All right. That's cool. So I would suggest you guys all put on this movable do solfege because you'll get a lot of training out of seeing the solfege. All right. Why are we not hearing this? Oh no. Wait. Okay. Wait, hang on. I forgot that we need audio. Okay. Hang on. Let me try this again. Sorry guys. I know I have shared my phone before, but how did I do it? Oh, no, it's not behaving. Oh, Nomad Farmer is asking if this one is iOS only. I don't remember. I can search for you though when I get a second. One moment. I'll see. Are you an Android person, Nomad Farmer? Okay, now. Before it popped up a bubble about the thing I'm trying to fix here. Yeah. The app is called Chpt, named after Chet Baker, the trumpet player. So the issue I'm having, guys, is that now that it's connected to my here, I'll do another way. This should work, I think. God, this is gonna be a pain in the ass though. What's flashing through my head is this cringe memory of when I was like probably 13 at the Idlewild Summer School for Music and the Arts. And there was the jazz piano teacher who I already thought was kind of weird. I don't know, just the 13-year-old's opinion. He didn't do anything to anybody. He just, whatever. And he just got like really frustrated that the CD player wouldn't work. And it just like was really cringe. It just made this like really weird vibe. And I'm thinking about that now. And I'm feeling like I am that. This is my CD player not working moment. And I never wanted to be that. Okay. I can fix this though. But it's going to be multiple steps. Where's my intern? I'll tell you what, AI won't do this for me. That's for sure. Okay, so I need to start a new meeting on Zoom. What kind of madness is going to happen here? This might work. All right. Oh, that reminds me. I forgot to plug this, and I forgot to put this in the email. Here's something to plug. Tomorrow night, I'm giving a 30-minute workshop for the Accordionists and Teachers Guild, which is. Sorry, I'm trying to turn my video off. There we go. Which is on the use of body for expression and technique. And I'm going to talk about a lot of the ideas from Jack and Natalie, and I'm going to try to plug the cinema workshop if I can. I know they don't like you to plug stuff, but like, how could I not? This is where I learned all this stuff, and it's coming up. Anyway, okay, so this might be really weird. I have to let myself into. So anyway, if you're an ATG member and you want to see my work,
good God.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wow.
That was horrible. Okay. Today I'm a mess today. Like not intentionally, but.
All right.
Is there
an
echo?
It
seems like there's an echo. It sure is. This is crazy. Okay. How crazy does it sound out there?
Are you
Are
guys
you guys
hearing
hearing
the
the
echo,
echo, or is it just me?
It
It sounds crazy. Okay.
Well,
Let's try this. All right. Now I'm only talking through. That's so fucked up. I'm only talking through my iPhone now. All right. I assume the audio is not great because it's only coming through the iPhone. Every day is a winding road. Okay. Zoom meeting. Okay, we've done it. Here's where we were. Are you guys seeing that? Yes, you are. Okay. It sounds okay, actually. Thanks, Birdie. Okay. So, I'm not hearing anything, though. Are you guys hearing anything? Oh, maybe that's because that's connected there. Now I'll play it again. What does this say? Why am I not hearing that? It's because this is muted. Nobody hears anything, right? No. It must be settings here. All right, I'm back. This is a disaster. Okay, let's try this another way. I'm not giving up. I didn't do the rating. Oh God, it's like I can't even think. Okay. Here. Quit Zoom. All right, now I should be better. Wait, loop back. Okay, and then turn up speaker. Okay, do you guys hear me? Let me check this out. Do you hear me now? This is a mega fail. Let me know if you can hear me, please. It's like a late night talk show that goes entirely off script, very spontaneous. Okay. All right. Let me have some water. I can do this, though. I can do this. Watch. Here's what I could do. We'll just do this old school. Now, let me see. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to do that. You guys should be able to hear this. Shit. This really doesn't work. But we might. All right. That's as far in as the zoom I can get it. Let's see. Okay. Wow. This is wild. Okay. Oh, it doesn't want to focus. All right, well, you don't need to see what it's... Good God. This might not work. Okay. I can sort of support it. It's crazy. Okay. All right. It was a unison, but what note? Okay. You guys can't even see how cool it is. Okay, here. Don't disconnect. There we go. All right, so now I'm a lot closer. Zoom that out. Chat does work from the iPad. It might work. I don't know why the audio wasn't coming through. Okay, here. Why don't we pause for... Heather, that's a good idea. Why don't I try the iPad? I have that over here. Let me see if that works. And I can just download all these apps on my iPad. Okay, so. While I'm setting that up. If anybody is watching this for the first time, let me just tell you, it's not always like this. Often, it's what I intend to do, I actually do. That's very common. What should we hear? Oh, I know. Let's see. We need like some party music or something. This looks like it could be cool.
Vamos a transportarnos a los Andes bolivianos. Vamos a sentir el mismo frío que hace afuera, pero aquí dentro.
All right, I think I figured out. Do you guys hear that piano sound on the D note? I know you don't see anything, but do you hear it? Do you hear that? Okay. Okay. So it was user error. It was you probably don't care why it was, but it was something that it was like a setting that I didn't have muted, blah 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 blah. Okay. So next time it'll be way better, but this time it's gonna be so awesome also. Okay. So this one, okay, so already, here's Chet. And already we get like an actual instrument. So we had we heard a piano, then we heard a flute example. And so far these are very, very simple. But now we heard, like in context, a trumpet player playing blah, blah, blah. So play it again. So now what we're supposed to do is listen to the melody, play it on trumpet, and play it back. Because again, ba, ba, ba. And it told you it was from Freddie Freeloader. So so it's teaching you harmony. The distance between these two notes is called major second. So when you get a new concept to learn, they'll teach you about it just really simply, and then you'll start practicing it. So let's see. Let me move that so you guys can see better. Okay, so do do.
Star eyes.
Star eyes, that's a jazz standard. So how cool. It uses a major second right at the very beginning. All right, so let's go over here and let's turn on the do thing. So this is it. If you're going to use Chet, which I think Chet is awesome, I suggest you use it. Here's what I would do. Where is that? Note subtitles. Movable do is what I would suggest. I don't know what Neo-Latin is. Whoa, what's Neo-Latin? I am intrigued. I gotta Google that. Okay, so we got fixed do on. All right, so this is weird. So I don't know. This is not connected to I logged in, but I'm not seeing any of my stuff here, so I don't know what's going on. That's kind of weird. Also, it looks like what is this doing? Daily challenge. Oh, let's do the daily challenge. I didn't know about that. Okay, I have 3 lives. Let's see how this does. So that was up a major 7. La ve do fa fu do, and then back down. So do mi sol ti, sol mi do do do. Yay! A bum 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 ba ba bum ba. What note is that, you guys? Dun 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 ba. Do 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 re. So I don't see any solfege. So I don't know when I would expect to see solfege here. So you're practicing memory. And another thing that I really like about this app, Chet, C-H-E-T, is that you get different instruments. And this is good for the brain. So I know from being a musician working with other musicians that different instruments have different timbres. And my brain is... If there's a different instrument that has a really different timbre, my brain sometimes is not as good at hearing the notes, even though I might be able to identify that stuff really well on another instrument. On that instrument, my brain isn't as good at hearing it. And so it's good for our brains to work on not just like a MIDI piano, but, and I asked when I spoke to the person to give them feedback, they told me that most of these are real musicians that they have on there. Marcin Winiski, I'm also streaming on YouTube at RisingReed, so I'm answering a question from the chat. On YouTube at RisingReed, RisingReed. I forget what the channel is. I changed it to something really long. And then Twitch, I'm accordion stream. You can find me there.
Okay, so anyways, all right, so that's that part of it. I just suggested this to somebody in the community earlier today because they were talking about wanting to learn a specific chord progression. And there's, if you go to, so up at the top left, there's learn. I wish I could zoom in. Not really, but up here on the left corner, you'll see learn. If we go to practice, this is really cool. There are two things for learning chords. Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you to say, man. All right. So here, you can just pick a chord progression, and then what it'll do is it'll mix it up. So for this jazz class, we're working on 2-5-1s, and it's going to play 2-5-1 chord progressions in different orders. Sometimes it's going to be 2-5-1, sometimes it's going to be 1-5-2, sometimes it's going to be 5-2-1. Why didn't I hear anything? Why are we not hearing the example? Something went wrong there. This is weird. Why? We should be hearing the example. I don't know why we're not hearing the example. That's really weird. What the hell? What just happened? Something is wrong. This totally works on my iPhone. I was just doing this like yesterday. Why is it not? Why are we not hearing it? Okay, well, that sucks. So that I assume is a bug of the iPad because everything else was working. So it's not my technology today. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, that's not working. Will this work? Now this is the other one that I really liked a lot. So chord progressions in context. Hopefully this works. If not, I might just like quit the app and try to start it again.
I know that dress is karma, perfume regret.
This is so cool. So this is similar to Chord Crush, where you're hearing a real example of real music. You know, you're hearing a real snippet of a real song. So by Charlie Puth, Attention. So that sounded like 1 in flat 7 to me. I'm correct.
It goes like this, the 4th, the 5th.
That one's not fair. It tells you.
Oh no, it gone, bye bye.
Let's hear it again.
Oh no, it gone, bye bye.
What do you guys think? Six. Don't see. There we go. 4.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside.
So it's cool because you're getting real music here, and that's the best for ear training. Okay, so that's that app. Fun. Cool. Man, it's almost 5. I feel like I better wrap this up and go to the book club, which I also fucked up. It's so funny. All right, well, it's okay. So let me pull up my notes. I made it about halfway through the book club chapter. Anyways, all right. So this was a half-baked idea that I had. Thank you all. In summary, so let's see. How many different apps did we try? We tried one iPhone app, Chat. You know, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure next week I'm going to do part 2 of this. This week, the gods of technology in Greek mythology terms did not want this to happen. So next week, we're going to do this again, and we're going to try a bunch more apps. We did find Chord Crush, which is really cool and really fun, and I'd suggest that. I love Chet. Chet's an awesome app, and you get a lot for free on that app, and then you could pay. I don't even know. I think you pay to like extend that pathway out further, but that's really cool. Yeah, and then the other one we didn't really care for. What's the one that Nomad Farmer had used Was that one? I'm gonna sneeze. I'm not gonna sneeze. Sorry. Oh, thanks, XPN. And also, I appreciated your humor. Thank you very much. I meant to comment on that. I put that up on the screen, but Cone Jim, yes. But XPN, that's my kind of humor, man. Thank you very much there. All right. So let's go to book club then. Let's listen to a little bit of an accordion song as a palate cleanser. And we'll go to the iPad. And we'll move to chapter 1 of this amazing book. Not there, but here. Okay. And let's actually listen to something from accordion. Okay, that's a wonderful pause point. Thank you all. All right, so now we're going to switch over to this amazing book that I'll show you the cover of. I own the book. I promise. I bought it. And you guys should buy it too. If you haven't bought it yet, get yourself or get from the library a copy of Learn Faster, Perform Better by Dr. Molly Gebrian. We started this book club last week where I covered the foreword and the introduction. And we learned about Molly Gebrian's educational history and what brought her to have an interest and to go down this pathway. And we learned about also her history of taking a little while to learn how to practice properly. And that was all in the foreword. And there was a foreword by Dr. Noah Kageyama, who's really another expert in this field. And I know multiple people now that are reading this book and have this book, and everybody is loving it. And I just got another text this morning from somebody that I work with sometimes who sent me a picture of a page, and he said, I'm doing the interleaved practicing, and I think it's working. This book is so cool. So it's very fun. What we're going to do is, if I make it through this chapter today, in the next, I don't know, half an hour or so, together with you, then hopefully we can pull out some way to use this week, and we could go to the community on my website, and if you can be a free member on my site and join the community, and we can, if you try this out, you can post about your experience or any comments and all that sort of thing. That is what I intend to do. So here we go. This section is about brain basics. I knew that was gonna be hard to say. My brain couldn't say it. Brain basics. Let me hide the, I'll keep the chat up there. You guys can stay up there. Continue to harass me. Okay. You're not harassing me. I'm harassing myself. Alrighty, so there are, I think, 3 chapters in this section, and this is chapter 1. So here we go. Good practicing and how it changes the brain. So as I do, I tend to sort of do a book report where I recite my notes, sort of communicate that with you guys.
It just got good too. I mean, right when I got to the where I ran out of time. So she talks about growing up and not knowing how to practice. She said and she's talking about where the way that she used to practice, which was not very useful. It wasn't really practicing. When I messed up, I'd start over, trying to play without the mistake. Or sometimes I'd repeat the spot where I had tripped up once or twice to correct the mistake, and then I'd just go on. Anything that wasn't immediately made better by either of these two methods was essentially ignored. And she says she hoped her teacher just wouldn't notice that she didn't play that part. And that's obviously not a way to practice. So then she talks about good practice habits. She said, I was just playing through things when I was a kid. And then she says, good practicing is problem solving. I'll zoom in there and I drew my little illustration 100%. That's something that I'm into right now, is thinking about problem solving and the different ways of logical thinking, analogous thinking. There are many different kinds of first principles thinking. There are many other ones. I can't think of them though. Good practice focuses on weaknesses, not strengths. And she says that there's no one size fits all. Good practicing is dynamic. It is assessing in the moment the challenges you are struggling with. So she talks about like how to raise a kid. You know, there's no book that's going to tell you how to raise a kid. Every kid that you are the parent of is unique in and of itself, and you're going to have to figure that out, really. And that's the way we are. We're all unique, and each song that we play is unique, and it's all, you know. So she can't just like tell us the ways, but she can tell us a whole bunch of different ways. So she says, what you'll learn in this book are the scientific principles behind a variety of practice methods. That's how the book is laid out, which is cool. So then we can choose the ones that will work best for our specific issues that we're trying to solve. I like this. I'm going to try to break this out and like use this and regurgitate this to the people that I'm working with, because I think it's nice. It's a nice way of breaking down the steps of practicing. So step 1, I highlighted them in different colors, only in this context. Everywhere else, my highlights don't mean anything. First step, identify the problem spots. I'm interested to know if you guys agree with this too. Is anything left out, or would you rearrange it? So step 1, identify the problem spots. Step 2, hypothesize solutions. Step 3, try out the solutions. Step 4, solidify the solution that works best. And I love that, because we're going to hypothesize things and we're going to try it, and some of them aren't going to work, and that's okay. That's normal for all of us. But you just keep going until you find one or more that do work, and then you continue. So you solidify the solution that works best, and then you practice that. Then step 5, which I didn't even really, it's not really a step, but then you move on to the next issue. Okay, so then she uses the metaphor of the way a doctor does medicine. So just in the similar color I highlighted, step 1, just like finding the problem spots, the doctor asks you questions about what hurts or whatever, what's not going, and they perform their own exam, they run some tests, lab work, whatever. Step 2 is hypothesize solutions. So here she says they provide a diagnosis and they give you a treatment plan. So that's proposing some solutions. And then step 3 is hopefully the treatment plan works, right? Which is you try those solutions. And then step 4, if it doesn't, your doctor will start the process over again and figure out what they missed. So that's essentially like solidifying the best process that works. Okay. So then she says, we need to do the same thing while practicing. We need to identify the exact location of our problem spots. So this is, I feel like, the major thing here for me. It seems like, I really wonder how all you guys think about this, but this is like, all the steps here are really important, but this might be the most important one, because if we're not trying to do this and trying to do this to the best of our abilities and learning about ourselves and getting this process, this identify the exact location of your problem spots. What exactly is wrong here, you know? And that, I think that ability to do that is always going to be expanding, because our experience as a musician is always expanding. Our skill set that's related to our experience is always expanding. You're always a better musician now than you were in the past. I don't think it's ever not the case.
Maybe your chops are a little rusty, but in terms of, your musicians and stuff, I guess, I don't know. I can see exceptions to that, but in general, we're always expanding out. So I don't know, just my own opinion about this and what I think is cool is that, I don't know, really like what could I take from this part of the book so far is like just the importance of, identifying the exact location of a problem spot, which has everything to do with critical thinking, different ways of asking questions, deducing, what am I hearing? And it has also everything to do with your ability to one's ability to apprehend music. So a very beginner to the instrument is really going to have a hard time because they don't know the mechanics of their instrument. They don't know conventional ways that the instrument is played, conventional ways that the instrument sounds. And especially if somebody is new to just music in general, they have very little other things to go about, and they don't have much practice, about the parts and participles of music. So the way a note begins, the way it ends, the timing, the way things need to line up, dynamics and articulations and all the sort of things that might not be right. They have like just a general sense it's not correct, or sometimes they don't at all. I don't even know if is this right or wrong? Am I doing it, correctly? And so those are really beautiful things because it's like it's learning to become more fluent in this language, and it's all us also examining ourselves and looking at what we are doing and our conception of what we want to be doing, which I think that's like the most beautiful, interesting thing about all of this, is that at the end of the day, your music is supposed to sound just like you and not like me. Nobody wants your music to sound like me least of all, and that's a wonderful thing. We can learn things. If I want my music to sound like Richard Galliano, it's because I want to learn some things the way he does. Man, he does this so well. He's so expressive. How does he take a simple song and he can repeat it 8,000 times? It's not boring. I stay interested and glued to it. What is he doing there? How can he play Nacien by Satie? And it's so simple, yet it's so hard to play. How can he take this instrument, which is really good at being ugly and heavy, and how can he make it sound so fluid and light and gorgeous? How does he do that? I want to be like that, but I don't want to be him, right? So this is so wonderful rounding out of our own, regardless of the skill set that we have and the experience level, we're all us, and that's what we want to come through. Even if it's a picture, I love this. Joao Baradas was talking about performing, I forget which works by Bach, but we watched a documentary of his. It was like a 30-minute documentary on him. And this tour of this recording and performance in Europe. And he talked about, kind of answering the question of why should I, as an accordion player in 2020, I think it was the last year, 2024, 2023, perform this work of Bach that like so many, the most famous musicians of all history have all performed. And we have a recorded history, since records have existed, like we have the greatest, why should I even try, and he used the metaphor of a souvenir photo of the Eiffel Tower. Like you still want to go see the Eiffel Tower and you want to take your photo of the Eiffel Tower. You don't want to buy a postcard of the greatest photo of the Eiffel Tower. That's not what it is, at the end of the day. At the beginning of the day, it's never about that, and it's good to detangle those things. So much in the same way. So we're all special, and this is learning how to practice well is learning how to be more like ourselves, which is really a beautiful thing. Okay, so we're down here. So you got to figure out what's causing the issue. You got to identify the exact problem spot, which is fundamentally around your ability, I think. She's going to talk much more about this, I assume. But your ability to have problem-solving skills, critical thinking, reasoning, that sort of thing, and your ability to think about what is making this thing. Where is my body touching this? How does the instrument work? How am I pressing and releasing? And what are these parameters of music that we're making? And then when I hear music in my head or from a recording, how much of that information can I understand is going on? When I hear Richard Galliano play Nacien by Satie, can I understand like what is he doing that's making it so magical, whereas I hate mine? How is he making it? What is he doing? Okay, and then can I study him to learn what's going on. Okay, let me listen for the dynamics. Okay, let me listen for his phrasing. Oh, that's what he's doing. Now let me listen to what I'm doing. What am I doing with my dynamics? And maybe I need to make a recording of it and listen back. Okay, what did I do with my dynamics that I don't like? And what did Richard Galliano do with his dynamics that I did like? Ah, okay. And then I start to label those. I think critically about it. I give them labels that I've learned about music. I give them my own little understanding things. You know, they're all information has that sort of quality to it. A shared language and then an individual language, which I feel like is extremely common in music. There's no two musicians that I know in jazz who think about harmony exactly the same way. Everybody has their own sort of unique twist on it. Okay. Number 2, you figure out what's causing it. So once you can determine, you know, what's the problem spot? It's late. It's I keep hitting the wrong notes or whatever it is. Then you figure out what's causing the issue. And then she's encouraging you. It's okay if you don't figure it out immediately. Work toward a solution and try it. And that's the yellow highlight that I have here. And she says, work. You don't have to like. If you're not certain, that's okay, because you'll get more certainty as you try stuff. And if it is working, then you go, oh, it was right. And if it's not working, so this is the hypothesis part. And it's absolutely true. And I think this is about art in general as well. We have a hypothesis about creating this sort of art that's inside of ourselves. And then we make it out into the world. You know, the painter makes a brush stroke and he goes, it's actually not right there, you know? Okay. And then the blue is you just keep repeating it until you fix your mistake. Alrighty. Then practice habits to avoid. This is a bunch of stuff we know already. The student who was here, I brought the book down for him. I was like, oh, I'm doing this book. You'd probably love this. And he was kind of leafing through as we were getting ready to go over the Bach choir. And he was like, oh, I think he must have found this section. He's like, oh, I just read the ways not to practice and I do every single one of them. Okay. So what's the one that I marked as so common? Starting from so common, and what I hear with the people I work with, starting from the beginning, playing until you make a mistake, and then starting over again and trying to do it again without your mistake. So these are all different ways to do it. I don't need to read all those. Okay, so then she gets into brain basics. Brain basics. That's hard to say. Okay, so let's start with how our brains are structured. She talks about synapses. And we get a picture of a synapse. And a synapse is this little gap in between these little things that are touching each other in this box. It's a gap. And then this neurotransmitter molecules go through the synapse. And this is so good for me to spit this stuff out again because it helps me, you know, comprehension and retention. So restating it. It's why they have kids do essays and stuff. It's one of the reasons that you have to write and synthesize your work, is because you understand it more when you think about it and you have to explain it to somebody. Okay. So neurotransmitters are chemicals, and there are many different kinds of neurotransmitters. That there are these chemicals that go between synapses, between a synapse to a receptor, rather. So the neurotransmitters are the little orbs, the spheres. The receptors are where they match up with. The ones that we've heard of before, she lists dopamine, heard of it. Serotonin, heard of it. Do I know the difference between dopamine and serotonin? I sure don't. Adrenaline, heard of it. Okay. And she says that there are many other kinds of neurotransmitters. So neurotransmitters are chemicals that the brain creates. Okay. So then she says, let's see, what does she say? That neighboring neurons has receptors. Okay. So then she says that neurotransmitters are like a lock and key. So the neurotransmitter is the key and the receptor is the lock. Okay, so certain neurotransmitters fit with certain receptors in the synapse. And what does she say after this? Okay, after the all right, let me read more of this. Okay. If the key is the right shape and size, it will fit into the lock. It will bind to the receptor and allow the lock to be opened. And then an electrical change happens. So after the neurotransmitter binds to the receptor, right here, then what happens is it causes an electrical change. So the chemical causes an electrical change This pulse of electricity travels down the long arm of the neuron called the axon. So here's the axon. It travels down that. Where do we go? It went too far. And when it reaches the end of the axon, it stimulates the release of neurotransmitter again to another receptor, which travels down to an electric pulse, which travels down to another. It stimulates the release of another transmitter against the synapse, and so on and so forth. So all of the communication in our brains is a chemical signal that gets translated into an electrical signal to a chemical signal, back to an electrical signal to a chemical signal, and it's happening all over like that. Okay, so I wrote chemical, electrical. If you guys know about this and I'm getting anything wrong here, please feel free to chime in. I think I understood it correctly until we get to the part that I didn't read yet. And I have to read slowly. I just do. It's just my reading. I have good comprehension, I feel like, but I'm slow. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We're doing fine. Okay, so when we practice, so this is now Rubber's going to start to hit the road. So now she starts to talk about how this relates to practicing. So she starts to talk about how. This is interesting. This gets into the brain science. So when we practice, we want to strengthen the synapses relaying information on how to play something correctly. So we want to practice it and get the right thing to do to fire those synapses to fire. And we want to strengthen those, get those stronger. And then we want to weaken the ones that are erroneous or irrelevant messages. I liked how she said that. So then she gives us this analogy, or metaphor. So she says, think about an old leaky garden hose that has too many holes in it, a bunch of holes. So when you turn it on, the water's going out the holes on the side of the hose instead of out the end of the hose. All right. So she says some of the water will go through the hose and out the nozzle, but a lot of it will leak out of the holes. Okay. This is what your brain is like when you first start to learn something. The water is running out the holes is all the erroneous and irrelevant information your brain is sending to your fingers, lips, feet. So you're trying to learn something and it's, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. You know, those are the water going out the sides of the hose instead of the end of the hose, right? So when you're, dang it, I missed it again, or I don't quite have it. I'm still late. I'm rushing. Okay. And so she says, once you plug the holes in the hose, all the water goes out the nozzle. In your brain, this is analogous to the synapses relaying the correct messages, being much stronger. Sorry, I shouldn't have paused before that. This is related to the synapses relaying the correct messages being much stronger than those sending the incorrect messages. Now, I don't know what stronger is yet. She's probably going to tell us later. The brain accomplishes this through changing the structure of the synapse to make it easier for the correct neurons to communicate. A common phrase in neuroscience is neurons that fire together, wire together. Okay, I should highlight that. Why didn't I not highlight that? Let's see. What happened to my... Boop. Where's my little palette? There we go. Okay. We're going to highlight neurons that fire together, wire together. That's a good one. Okay. So then she says what that means is neurons that communicate with each other often, so they fire together, change their structure to make that communication even easier. So they wire together. All right. So you want to, I mean, that's telling me you want to do the correct thing. Where I feel like this is going is practice in a way where you're only doing the movement that you want, right? If we think of, and this is shit that I learned from Frédéric Deschamps, which is really wild. So he must be reading this stuff or have really studied all this stuff, because like everything that I've read so far in this book sounds like all the shit that he talks about, and he's very articulate at it. So, and I, got to give credit where it's due. So instead, if I'm playing a major scale, I need to simplify my conscious effort to the way such that I can play only the notes that I intend to play in that major scale and not go, I don't have time for that. Wrong note. I'll get it again. Wrong note. Okay. Right note. Okay. Because those wrong notes are not strengthening
the wire together. You know, they're strengthening the holes in the sides of the hose. This is an example that I don't know that she's going to tell us or not, but this is my own thinking here. So play the thing with enough control and conscious effort that you're not making mistakes, because what practice makes permanent, doesn't it? Okay. So then in the yellow, this means that every time you practice or learn something new, you're actually changing your brain. We kind of knew that, didn't we? If you learn something incorrectly, to use the hose analogy, it would be as if you made one of the holes so big that most of the water was going out of the hole. Yeah, if you practice something incorrectly. Okay. To correct the issue, you would have to close the hole before you could get the water moving in the right direction. In brain terms, you would have to strengthen one group of synapses while also weakening another, rather than just strengthening one group. That's twice as much work. So that's if you're practicing incorrectly, which we're not going to be practicing incorrectly. And why not? Because if we do, we could see, she's telling us, it's ridiculous. You're not going to learn anything. All right, so moving forward. These changes are just the beginning, and since they occur at a microscopic level, they're relatively easily undone. As you continue working, not only do the synapses involved get strengthened, but new synapses are formed between neurons that weren't connected before. I've heard that before. Have you guys heard that before? At the same time this is happening, groups of neurons called neuronal ensembles. Neuronal ensembles. It's almost like a, hello, my name is Neuronal Ensemble. Okay. They become more and more streamlined in their behavior. So that's a group of neurons around a specific thing that you're doing. At first, as an ensemble, they send a lot of random messages and do strange things. It's a lot. I like this right here. It's a lot like a youth orchestra rehearsing a newly composed piece for the first time. Youth ensemble, so not people with a ton of experience playing their instruments or doing these things. Playing a newly composed piece of music, meaning the youth ensemble has not heard it a million times already, right? So she's in these three things, youth ensemble, newly composed piece of music, and playing it for the first time. She's really giving us a big description, an important description of, like, you know, of this situation. So I was like, there's a lot of shit not, you know, the movements that we want aren't happening. A lot of bad notes. There are many individual mistakes, and it sort of sounds like the piece, but not really. Okay. This is when we're learning things for the first time. Okay. As the neuronal ensemble gets better at working together, just like an orchestra, individual mistakes still happen here and there, but what comes out is much more cohesive and intelligible. Okay. All right. So we learned neuronal ensemble. We also need to learn the phrase neural pathway, neural pathway, neuronal ensemble. Okay. Neural pathway, which describes the connections formed between different areas of the brain. I should highlight that, areas of the brain. See, this shit, I should not have waited. I should not have given myself 45 minutes to read this fucking chapter. Okay, different areas of the brain. There we go. What was I thinking? You got to think about this. Okay. The word pathway in neural pathway is useful for understanding what happens when we get good at something, or what happens when we have a bad habit we're trying to get rid of, because it leads to another helpful analogy. Imagine you're standing in front of a giant field. Okay. So here she talks about standing in front of a giant field of snow, and you can't see what's on the other side of the field. And you're trying to go to your friend's house for the first time, but they didn't give you directions. They just said it's on the other side of the snowy field, but you're not sure where. It's so big, you don't know. You could go way out that way, or way out that way, or way out that way. And she gives the example of one way leads you to your friend's house, and the other way leads you to the city dump. So she says, in brain terms, a path to the town dump would be like having a neural pathway established in your brain that results in some sort of bad habit or a mistake. Okay. You always tense up when singing high, for example. So like that. Okay. But if this is the only neural pathway you have, you don't really have a choice. That error in performance is going to happen because that's the only neural communication that's set up. It's not your fault. Your brain is built like that. Okay. We love these little compassionate escape hatches for our judgment.
Okay. So your brain literally doesn't know any better, just like you didn't when you followed the path to the dump. You didn't know. Your friend just told you it's over there, and then you're like, nah, nah, nah. It could be this way or that way. I went this way. Oh well. Okay. Now imagine that the only pathway delivers you straight to your friend's door. In brain and music terms, this is like everything coming out exactly like you want to. Okay. And she says, if it's a well-trodden pathway, it's easy to follow. Likewise, when we have good habits established, playing well feels less effortless. No, playing well feels effortless, right? So it's why something that you can do feels easy and something that you can't do feels hard. This is also why great performers can make things look so easy. They have the right neural pathways. Okay. So then she says, imagine when you approach the snowy field, there's two pathways. Both are nice. Which one are you going to take? And she says, in brain and music performance terms, having two essentially equal pathways for the same skill, some days if we put ourselves in the hypothetical situation where we have like the way that we want it to be learned is just as strong as the way that we don't want it to be learned. So 50-50 chance of, a good habit or a bad habit, or playing the thing or not playing the thing. If that's the case, right? Where did I just leave off? In your brain, yeah. It means you have a 50-50 shot of it going the way you want to or not. And for most musicians, getting up on stage with a 50% chance of success does not feel good. No, that's our ego, everything. We care about it. We want to. Fundamentally, I like to remember, we want to sound like ourselves. The reason why we're putting all this toil and stuff into this instrument is because we want to express ourselves. And that thing that is correct, the right music, just sounds like us. That's what it sounds like. And the real pain, there's ego and stuff, but I think the better way to think about it is that it's just, that's not me. That's not how I sound, So when you play like that, it's like, that's not me. That's not the me that is the sound that's inside me. Whatever came out of the instrument wasn't the thing that's inside me. And I just think that that's true. And it also is, again, another little wonderful, compassionate escape hatch. Okay, so now we're going to get more practical. So she's talking about the neural pathways. How do we give ourselves better than a 50% chance of success? If your friend wanted to ensure nobody would take the wrong path, they could get out their shovel and cover over the incorrect pathway with snow. That's cool, right? Don't go this way. Put an X there. Or she's got to use pathways, though, because this is about these paths. So cover up the pathway with snow. So make it smaller, make it less easy to travel, make it look uninhabitable. As long as nobody used that path and packed down the snow with footprints, the pathway to the dump would disappear. And she's choosing these analogies and examples because they're similar to how the brain works biologically. Okay. This process is similar in our brains. Our brains can distinguish important pathways from unwanted ones. The brain can. Important, unwanted. Important, unwanted. And the brain will strengthen those pathways that are most valuable to us while we sleep. What? Yes. Again, something Deschamps talked about. You practice, and then in your sleep, you get better. He would talk about all this shit. That was over 10 years ago that I went there. Okay. If you repeatedly reinforce the incorrect pathway, accidentally, inadvertently, your brain will think it's important, and it will strengthen the wrong pathway rather than allowing it to disappear. So bad practice is worse than no practice in terms of neural pathway creation. I'm not sure that's true in terms of having a relationship with music and enjoying oneself. But as far as deliberate practice, that's true. All right. So now we're approaching the part where I didn't do my reading. All right. Pathways and practicing. So now that you understand a bit more about what's happening in the brain when you're trying to improve, let's return to those unproductive practice habits I mentioned. So she said she'd play the mistake and then either fix the mistake and go on, or she'd start over and do it a second time without fixing it. All right. The reason those methods are so ineffective is because even though I knew I'd made a mistake, I had inadvertently reinforced the incorrect pathway. I just walked down it like these two paths in the snow. The one going to the dump, I just kept walking down it. I walked to the dump again. I walked to the dump again. I walked to the dump again. And then I turned around and went the other way, but it doesn't matter because I went to the dump. And so I trampled that snow and made that pathway better. So she says, what you repeat is preserved and reinforced in the brain, whether you like it or not. So we say practice makes perfect, but practice makes permanent. Not that you can read my handwriting, but practice makes permanent. That is much more true for a musician's life. Practice makes permanent, and really repetition makes permanent. So what am I repeating? Am I repeating this thing over and over and over and over again? One of the challenges is that the reason we don't do this is, one, that we're not told what to do. And also, it's more fatiguing. It is more work. It's more exhausting to be analytical, to be hyper present with the mind, to be watchful, to be disciplined, to be organized, to be thorough, to be, frequent and recurring. All the things that we need take a lot of energy and honestly labor. So it turns, practicing poorly is often, even though it's ultimately losing, I think the reasons why we can tend to go that direction is it's a lot more fun. It's a lot less labor in the short term, a lot less work, because we're not burdening ourselves with this kind of hypervigilance of like, wait, let me correct this, let me think about this, let me all this sort of stuff. Okie dokie. All right, so a much better way to practice is to start directly at the spots that are challenging you. Okay, all the ones, don't just play the thing. Go to, I can play that well, let me skip to, right there, measure 14 or whatever, this part of the music, and I'm always messing up there. What's going wrong with it? What are some, what's not happening? What are some hypotheses of what I could do to fix it? And then let me take one of those and do it and see if that does anything. Did it? Okay, let me repeat that and strengthen that neural pathway. If that didn't work, let me go with another hypothesis, right? And keep going until you find the hypothesis that works and you get improvement. All right, so, and then again, she's strengthening our, the person reading this is, the person reading this, she's strengthening their ability to feel able to problem solve. So she says, even if you think, well, I don't know where those problem spots are, she says, you do know where they are. They are spots you worry about when you play in front of your teacher or another listener. I love that. I love that. Maybe it's just a single measure where the rhythm trips up. Start right there and try to figure out why you have trouble at that spot. And then she goes into more examples. So there could be a whole host of reasons. That's okay, Try to determine the exact reason, because the more precise your diagnosis can be, the easier it will be to find a good solution. Okay, and that must be where I left off. So here we go into uncharted territory, folks. Let me pause. I feel like I have to blow my nose, which I will leave the room to do. I could never do that on stream. That would be insane. Okay. All right. Birdie says, I think about this snowfield a lot when I'm practicing now. Cool. Okay, very cool. So, Birdie, have you read this chapter before? I'm just going to go and stay stuffed up. We'll see how long I could go. All right. Once you've identified the... Hang on. I'll be right back. Oh, cool. Birdie says he read this chapter a week ago. That's awesome. Very cool. As you can tell, I should pass this over to you to finish up this chapter. Birdie says, I try to make sure I'm practicing correct now. Like she says, the repetitions until I get it 10 times right. Okay, cool. I haven't gotten there yet. So spoiler. No, I'm just kidding. Not a spoiler. You can't spoil this book. No, just a repetition, reinforcement of this great information. Okay, so Once you've identified a specific problem, all right, so here's my method for this. I'm going to do quick and dirty instead of super thorough here. All right, so she says, once you've identified a specific problem, right? That was step 1. Then you got to figure out how to break down the problem into smaller, more manageable parts. So you need your hypothesis. I forget what color that was. Okay. All right, if you don't understand the rhythm, can you write in where the main beat falls? Could you clap the rhythm, count it out loud? So she's helping us understand, what do you call it? Problem solving, logical thinking. So thinking about what is going on. What are the logical systems? What are the parts that are not right? What am I hearing in my head? What am I hearing coming out of this? And then solutions for that. So she gives us a number of different ideas to do that, to figure out if the rhythm's messed up. If you don't understand the rhythm, can you write it in? Could you clap it? Could you count it out loud? Once you do that, then you could play it after that. Then you could try it with printed notes, but slowly okay, so here we go into breaking it down. And this is what I do with students all day long. This is a main major thing that I do is I break stuff down. And for my own practice, I do that. I break everything down when I'm working on it. And then I put it all together, Working on this broken down in this way. Simplification. Instead of 2 hands, do it on 1 hand. Instead of 5 notes, do 1 note, Instead of fast, do slow. Instead of the full measure, do 2 beats, Okay, so break it down. All right, so now that you've identified the precise problem, you've broken it down into manageable parts and fixed the issue. What's next? So she said, most people just move on to the next problem spot. All right. But that's a mistake. Let's circle that. Don't do that. Okay, you have to solidify so the problem stays solved. Okay. Usually I'm a lot neater, but I don't have time for that. To do this, students are often advised to play something 10 times correctly. Birdie just said this. Or some variant of that advice. 10 times. Okay. So this is not something that I'm really hip to. I've heard that, and there's I can't remember what it is, but there's like a circus performer, like where you're a juggler. Like I used to work with a juggler, and multiple jugglers actually in Philadelphia. And one of my good friends was a juggler. He doesn't do that anymore, but I worked with jugglers and circus performers and people that do, things that have a lot to do with learning to play a piece of music. It's nervous system things. And it was like 3 times in a row it's in the show, or 5 times in a row. I don't remember what number it was, but da-da-da times in a row it's in the show was like the little rhyme thing. And so it's the equivalent of that. Okay, so keep reading, it gets better. 10 times correct in a row. Okay, thank you. All right. So, however, there is a potential danger in how this advice is often followed. Imagine okay, so here. Let's kind of highlight this. Here's a thing that I found on the iPad. Watch this. If I go slow and then I hold my pen here, it'll turn into a perfectly straight line. Isn't that really cool? Okay. Imagine little Molly, Dr. Molly Gebrian in the practice room. She'd play the measure her teacher said needed work, and maybe it was perfect on the first try. Maybe the second try it was also, but on my third try, I was distracted by something, so that time wasn't very good. Okay, that one doesn't count. 4th time, also not great. Doesn't count. 5th time, good. Okay. So good, bad, good. Okay. So now I have 3 correct, 2 incorrect. I would continue until I had 10 correct ones. You can imagine, though, that by the time I did 10 correct repetitions, I also did 10 or more incorrect repetitions. This is also shit that Frederick Deschamps would talk about. Very cool. Okay, so in that case, I had accomplished literally and precisely nothing except wasting time, because I had reinforced the correct pathway 10 times, but also the incorrect pathway 10 times. I still had 2 completely equal pathways, and therefore only a 50% chance of going to my friend's house or going to the dump, right? So I'm even though I spent all this time and I worked hard, because I still did a bunch of wrong ones. Okay. The probability of me doing this correctly when I want to, when it matters for my teacher as a performance, is still 50-50. So interesting. Okay. And when it inevitably didn't go well in my lesson, I would think, I can't play this correctly no matter how much I practice it. I can never do it right. And that's not correct. and she's going to show us. Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, this is so cool. All right, I'm not doing a great job highlighting. That's okay. So we need to ensure that the correct pathway gets reinforced many more times than the incorrect pathway. Let me say that again. Do more times correctly than incorrectly. Lori said, thinking of a new song called Serotonin Stomp. Kind of reminds me of Saratoga, too. Or Sarasota? More like Saratoga. Serotonin Stomp. I love it. All right, so you got to do more corrects than incorrects. Where were we? All right, again, neurons that fire together, wire together. Let's highlight that. I don't love that, but it must be important. Okay. To accomplish this, it's important to have a consequence for incorrect repetition. Self-flagellation, I mean. To make this happen, add the words in a row to the number of correct repetitions you plan to do. 10 times correctly in a row. Okay, so here's, oops, I wanted to, there we go. Let's do this with a circle. Okay, perfect. 10 times in a row. Okay, that is the magic to it. Okay, this means if you get it wrong on the third repetition, you have to start all over again. And this is what I learned with Fred Deschamps. He would have us do the blocking, which I've showed in the fundamentals classes. And you had to do, I think for him it was 3 times a row to get it correctly. And if you messed up, you had to go back, pardon me, and start all over again. And I see the wisdom in that. Okay. All right. There won't be mindless repetitions. Okay. So continuing reading. You got to start, if you mess it up on the third repetition, you start back at 0. Wow. This is going to make you good. We're learning. It doesn't matter if you don't want it to work this way. This is the way the brain works. So this is the way it works. Okay. All right. You'll focus. So when you're faced with the consequence of having to start all over again and being so frustrated and disappointed and maybe resentful, what's going to happen is you're not going to want that. So you're going to focus more. You'll focus exactly on what you need to do to get it right. And your repetitions won't be mindless. You won't be thinking about this, that, and the other thing. You'll be thinking, dude, I'm on 4. I'm going to kill myself if I have to go back. I shouldn't say that on YouTube. There's no way I can go back to 1 again. I'm on 9. I got to get 10 right. All of my brain power must go to this. Okay. Anyways. All right. And this information, how do I ensure that I get it right, is exactly what you need to know to perform it correctly in front of your teacher or in a concert. Okay. But why 10? Why is she saying 10? Is that the magic number of repetitions? It's not actually. Okay. The number of correct repetitions depends on how many incorrect repetitions you did before finally getting it right. This is called overlearning. Okay, we love it. This is called overlearning, which seems to be necessary for something to stick long term. Okay. According to research on overlearning, the minimum number, okay, this looks important. The minimum number of correct repetitions is half the number of tries it took before you got it right the first time. Wow. Okay. So let's sit with that. Let me think about that. The minimum number of correct repetitions for you to do. So what is the real answer to 10? Is half the number of tries it took before you got it right the first time. So playing this thing correctly, I didn't get it right. It took me 8 times. Then the minimum number of correct repetitions is 4. You got to do it 4 times correctly. So we have to be keeping track. So this is not something that I have been. I have not been, the little people counter thing that gets clicked, sometimes at the county fair or whatever. I have not been doing this. This is definitely new info for me. That's cool. Okay. I've not been thinking about the global scope, and I certainly have not been counting how many times I did it wrong, and then the sum total of how many times it took me to get it right. This is fascinating. Wow. I want to pause, but I can't. I got to finish this up in 20 minutes. Okay. So, if it took you 10 tries to get it before you got it right, you'd want to do 5 more in a row to solidify it.
Aha, to solidify it. Okay, that's cool. So we're thinking about you get it right and then to solidify it. Okay, so that's like 2 steps there. I like that. Okay. Get it right. Oops. And solidify it. Okay. Boop and boop. All right. How much more do I have? Oh my God, there's so much more. Oh boy. All right. Well, I'm going to the top of the hour and that's it. Then I'm stopping at wherever I am and we'll pick this back up. That's okay. Sometimes it happens like this. But then the next chapter I have to do 10 times in a row. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So even better than 50% overlearning is to do 100% overlearning. Okay. That's cool. So if it took you 10 tries to get it right, then you do 10 times perfectly in a row to solidify it. Let me circle that. Get it right and solidify it. So you're always looking to the point at which you get it right. Then once you've got it right, then you begin the process of solidifying it. I love it. Okay. This research on overlearning is also incentive to try to get it right as early as possible in the process without too many incorrect repetitions at first. Okay. Get it right. Let's see. This research on overlearning is also incentive to get it right. Let's see. Sorry. As early as possible in the process. Without too many incorrect repetitions first. The more times you do it wrong, the more times you will have to do it right to ensure the correct pathway is getting reinforced. Okay. If you get it right on the first try, I've found that doing it right at least 5 times in a row is necessary for it to really stick. We love that. Wow, this is really clear, practical stuff here. She's not giving us just vague things. Well, you know, no. She's like, no, here it is. Based on science, based on your brain. The way your brain works. Well, we love it. Okay. 3 times seems to be too few. It is also necessary to actually count your repetitions. Don't just play many times in a row and assume it was just 5. Yeah, I can see myself doing that. Or that you've achieved 50% or 100% overlearning. You got to count. Okay. Chances are you will drastically underestimate the number of correct repetitions in a row you've done. If you don't believe me, video record yourself practicing and watch it back. You'll find that your assessment of the number of correct repetitions in the moment was not at all accurate. Remember, if you mess up, the count starts over from 0. Okay. So, okay. And I guess the count starts over from 0 is referring to the overlearning to set it. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure because she didn't say that explicitly, so she wasn't talking about to learn it, but to set it. Okay. The other benefit to counting repetitions is that it creates psychological pressure to get it right. Yes, it does. Coping with that pressure of you have to play it correctly right now is a skill we all need to learn in order to perform well. In Chapter 4, we'll also discuss another method of doing repetitions that builds in breaks to further enhance learning and consistency. And in Chapter 8, we'll discuss the power of varied repetitions, so stay tuned for that. We sure will. Why is it necessary to do repetitions in the first place? Why isn't it enough to do it correctly once and then move on? After all, you've proven to yourself that you can play it the way you want to. Think again about that snowy field. Okay, it's a huge field. We got to go one way or the other, and we don't know which way to go. Pretend there are no pathways at all. You would have to arbitrarily start walking. Chances are your first guess would be incorrect. So you would try again and again until you found your way to your friend's house. The snowy field would then be covered with crisscrossing pathways in the snow, all made from your individual footsteps. None of them would be clear or well worn. How in the world would you or anyone else ever be able to find the correct pathway in the future? They all look the same. You would probably remember that you started by veering to the right instead of the left, for instance, but beyond that, it would be hard to retrace the correct pathway again without mistakes. The correct pathway just isn't clear enough or differentiated enough from the other footprint paths you created. It's the same thing in practicing. Often along the way to playing something correctly and fixing a problem, we do it incorrectly many times. That's fine. Let's circle that. Where are we? Okay. often. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's normal. Okay. And as we'll talk about in the next chapter, it's necessary. It's part of the learning process. But once you do find the solution, you need to make sure that pathway sticks out from all the incorrect ones. You need to repeat the correct solution to make sure that pathway is the clearest, strongest one. You got to repeat it. Okay. Myelination. Myelination upon you. Sounds like a biblical word. Myelination. Okay. 13 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. The other benefit to repetitions is the additional reconstruction the brain does when a pathway gets used frequently. She told us that. Stuff happens. In our analogy of the snowy field, this would be like the city coming in and paving the road to your friend's house. Yeah, badass. Okay. This would be like, oh yeah, I read that. Okay. Friend's house this way. Oh, putting up a big sign saying friend's house this way. There would be no question which way to go. Earlier, we talked about how synapses get strengthened when you learn something new. This process is called long-term potentation. Long-term potentation. Okay. So, when synapses get strengthened when you learn something new, in brain science, they call this long-term potentation. And she'll talk about that again later. That's the first step in the process. The next step is called myelination. And this is really when things start to feel easy and automatic. Okay, we want to myelinate. Everybody myelinate. Everybody myelinate. Myelinate to the left. Okay. Remember that when a neurotransmitter binds to a receptor, it causes an electrical change in the receiving neuron. That sends an electrical pulse down the axon, the long arm of the neuron. When an electrical signal repeatedly moves through the axon like that, the axon gets wrapped up in something called myelin. Oh, cool. Which is essentially just a layer of fat. We love fat. Okay. Brain fat. The myelin allows the electrical signal to move rapidly down the axon. Oh, shit. Okay, that's cool. All right, so it's the fat is making the electrical signal move better. Okay, sick. Similar to when you insulate an electrical wire, it allows the electricity to move more efficiently rather than the energy being lost to the surrounding air. Okay, when a pathway has been well myelinated, that skill, action, or thought pattern feels automatic to you. For anyone reading this book, writing your name is automatic. You don't have to think about how to spell your name or how to make the individual letters. You can write your name easily even while talking to someone else. But when you were a little kid, that process wasn't so easy. Probably you had to really concentrate to write your name, and even so, you may have drawn some of the letters backwards. That's because when you were little, the pathway wasn't myelinated yet. We didn't have that fat around it's going down the axon. My axon didn't have fat. My axon my accordion playing can't play that unless my axion's got fat. I'm trying to do I like big butts and cannot lie parody. Anyway, okay. I'm trying. We can do this. 10 minutes. I can do it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that pathway was not myelinated yet. Okay. When we're just starting to learn something, we often feel clumsy and uncoordinated. This is because the axons haven't been myelinated. Right. So the various signals coming in from different parts of the brain aren't well synchronized. They're arriving slightly too early, or slightly too late because that myelin isn't there to speed and smooth the electrical transmission of information. This is so cool. You experience this as clumsiness. Playing an instrument is immensely complicated, and we need to coordinate very intricate actions with extremely precise timing. If the timing of the signals in our brains is just a little bit off, it will come out sounding messy. So, how do you get your brain to produce more myelin? How? Nothing is more frustrating than learning a new technique on your instrument, understanding how it's supposed to sound and what you're supposed to do, but then when you come time to do it, you get it wrong. Okay, fortunately, it's the electrical signals themselves that also tell the surrounding brain tissue to put a wrap of myelin around the axons involved in the skill. The more times a signal passes through, the more wraps of myelin are put on, okay, making the skill feel easier and easier. So the more times, I'm going to highlight this. Now we're getting practical. Okay, the whole thing is practical. The more times a signal passes through, then the more wraps of myelin are put on, and then that makes in red, making the skill feel easier and easier. Okay. Things that feel effortless and automatic have many wraps of myelin, which is another reason repetitions are important. They increase myelin wraps. Okay. Repeating creates myelin wraps. When something isn't working, it's easy to get frustrated and give up and just say, I can't do it. Da, 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 da. But if you give up, this is a good one. Highlight this, Dallas. If you give up, your myelin gives up too. Your myelination, your myelination stops too. When I'm practicing, I like to picture the little minion characters, banana, furiously rushing around inside my brain, trying to connect the new synapses and myelinate axons. Okay, that's cute. They're working as fast as they can, even if it doesn't feel like it on the outside. And for them to do their work, they need input from me. If I stop giving them input because I give up out of frustration saying, I'll never be able to do this, they just stand there looking dejected, all her little minions, because they don't know what to do next. But if I stick with it, they rush around as fast as they can, myelinating everything. This is adorable. I love this. Wow. Molly, you're so interesting. Okay. And eventually I can feel the improvement and greater ease on the outside. How cool. Okay. The flip side to myelin is bad habits. Those little minions in your brain will myelinate whatever you are reinforcing, whatever you're repeating in your practice. Our brains don't know bad habits from good habits. They just know what we've done repeatedly. Again, neurons that fire together, wire together. And this is why bad habits can feel so hard to break. They are supported by a very well myelinated pathway, and so they feel automatic. They can feel normal, comfortable even, if we understand intellectually that the bad habit is hindering our progress. The conventional wisdom has been that myelin only wraps, it doesn't unwrap. There is no mechanism in the brain to remove myelin that you don't want anymore. More recent, cutting-edge research has suggested that the thickness of myelin sheath can be thinned. Wow, cool. All right, let's highlight that. Thin your myelin. Okay, right here. Okay, can be thinned to allow for more precise communication between neurons. Unfortunately, there isn't much information yet on how this thinning process works, but it will be exciting to watch this area of research develop. Okay, we can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Birdie, I'm going to finish this. We might start a little bit late. Okay. Unfortunately, there isn't much information yet on how this thinning process works. Okay. Despite these new findings, there's no evidence that in healthy people, myelin breaks down if you stop using a given pathway. Oh, shoot. So that seems important. Oh, boy. Okay. There's no evidence that myelin is going to break down. Oh, boy. Okay. If you're trying to get rid of a bad habit, you need to make sure you never allow yourself to do your old habit mindlessly. Woo, that's heavy. Okay. All right. Although in the next chapter, we'll discuss things wrong, doing things wrong on purpose to correct bad habits. That's cool. If you're a string player trying to change something in your bow hold, for instance, you need to use your new bow hold even when you are tuning, sight reading, or messing around on your instrument. Wow. Dang, that's harsh. Okay. How about that? Okay. Never do the old bad habit. Never, ever, ever. Okay. It's not going to feel good because it's going to require much more attention than you are used to, but it will ensure that you are building a new pathway and not allowing yourself to use or reinforce the old pathway at all. Myelinating the new pathway is at the root of developing habits you want to keep. Okay. Next bullet point, heading. Are you reinforcing the right pathway? Are you? Okay. One question that goes a long way toward promoting better practice habits is to constantly ask yourself, which pathway am I reinforcing right now by how I'm practicing? Yes, that's great. Which pathway am I reinforcing? Dude, put that on the wall, Dallas. That's going on the wall. Which pathway am I reinforcing right now by how I'm practicing? Okay, that's an activity we're all going to do. We're all going to write that down on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with a Sharpie, and we're going to put it where we practice so that we're looking at that. That is what's up. Okay. Often when we are frustrated and just not seeing improvement, even after a lot of practice, it's because we have been inadvertently reinforcing the incorrect pathway. Inadvertently. Several years ago, a cellist came to have a lesson with me because she was struggling with intonation, and an issue her teacher felt was caused by how she was practicing. When I asked her how she worked on intonation, she explained that she would play very slowly, and then if she was out of tune, she would adjust. The minute she said that, I knew exactly what her problem was. She was reinforcing the adjusting pathway rather than the play in tune pathway. Aha. By adjusting, she thought she was practicing well, but she was actually teaching her finger it could go down in approximately the right place and then get in tune after the fact, rather than going down exactly the right place the first time. Okay, I have a personal anecdote to share about this. So, my very first accordion lessons came from Stan Darrow and Joanna Darrow at the Acme Accordion School, where I learned fundamental things about accordion that I did not figure out on my own, and I was never around any accordion players, and YouTube did not exist in those days. Okay, so, or maybe it did, but nothing was on it. Okay, so my anecdote that belongs here is Joanna told me when you're practicing bellows, especially bellows 2 measures out, 2 measures in, 4 measures out, wherever you play in your bellows, this is the bellows movement, which is like mega huge, especially when you have any sort of prescribed thing that you've worked out with 2 hands. You have to work out the bellowing. You absolutely have to. So you work out the bellowing, and then you need to practice it. I'll get to it, which is, especially when you're closing the bellows, it's very, very common for us to run out of air for all kinds of reasons. And that is a major milestone in the life and skills of an accordion player, is being able to manage the air when closing the bellows on your accordion when playing 2 hands. Hands apart, it's no big deal. It's easy. 2 hands, it's a problem. And she told me exactly this. She said, if you run out of air, you keep playing the rest of the phrase silently. Move your fingers. Do not open those bellows. And it's for exactly the same reason as this, fixing the intonation, which is if you run out of air and then you open the bellows, you're teaching your body to change the bellows right there. You're undoing the thing. So I love it. You got to go. Okay. All right. Here. Let's see what this morph. I love that. Okay. Man, I'm still here. This book seems really good. I'm always hesitant with the so-called good-willed recommendations, but this sounds great. Keep reading, Dallas. Thank you, Morph. I really like your screen name, too. Okay. We're almost done. I'm trying to get through this. Sorry, Birdie. I promise I won't be too much later. Okay. So, So she was teaching, this cellist was like, that's the myelinated pathway that was the neural pathway that was getting myelinated with the fat and the minions going bananas. Okay. So in performance, this constant adjusting just sounded like she was constantly playing out of tune. A much better to work on intonation is to stop on the note in question. If it's out of tune, don't adjust it. Listen to it and figure out if it's flat or sharp. Then back up a note or two in the music. Go back a few notes and try it again. Stop on the note in question. Again, don't adjust it if it's out of tune. Figure out what's wrong with it, right? Okay. Continue this process until you can land on the note perfectly in tune with no adjusting. Keep track of how many times it took before. Yeah, I forgot about that. We got to keep track. So that's the other thing we got to write down on our thing is keep track of how many times. We're going to have like a log or a tally sheet. This is going to be so fun this week. Okay, cool. All you guys watching, I have this new website with this great community area. It looks really good. It's free. Everybody should be able to join for free if you want, for the podcast, the live stream and book club stuff. So if this is exciting to you, go to the website, RisingReed.com, go to the community, make an account. If you have any issues, email me, but you should be able to get in there and then interact with this, share your progress. This is so exciting. Okay. So you keep track of how many times, continue this process, keep track of how many times it took before you got it right, and then aim for at least 50% over learning to solidify what you've learned. Looking back, my biggest practice mistake as a kid was not reinforcing the right pathways. I was either inadvertently reinforcing the wrong pathway, like the cellist, or I was making so many footprint tracks in the snow that my brain just had to randomly choose, and I never reinforced a positive path. Okay. Sometimes I got lucky and the path was the right one or close enough, but just as often my brain chose the wrong path, right? This is how it goes. I thought I had prepared for my lesson because I had picked up my violin and played through all my songs each day, but the practicing I had done, quote unquote practicing,
Didn't seem to make much difference. So why was I wasting my time practicing? Now I know. I wasn't practicing. I wasn't problem solving. I wasn't reinforcing any correct pathways. I was just mindlessly playing. Okay. Again, our brains only know what we reinforce. If we reinforce the wrong thing, the brain will think it's right. If we don't reinforce anything, the brain will just have to guess the next time we come to a particular note or passage. Do I go this neural pathway or this neural pathway? That's so interesting to talk about probability, of like where does it go? Do I go this way? And so it goes to the snow pathway is so cool. And Birdie, pardon me, guys. Has been thinking about that. I can see why. It's a really effective and wonderful example for us. Metaphor. Okay. Reinforcing, we cause actual physical changes in our brains, making it we're wrapping that fat, baby. Making it much more likely we will play the way we want the next time around. Learning means making physical changes in the brain. Without physical changes in the brain, no learning has occurred. Despite all this, errors are a necessary part of how we learn, even though they are incredibly frustrating. In the next chapter, we'll discuss how top musicians deal with mistakes and how they practice differently from those who don't perform as well. It's easy to think they just don't make as many mistakes in the first place, but that's not what the research shows. Wow, yeah. It's all in how they handle their mistakes, and it's a skill anyone can learn. How cool. Okay, so before we go, I want to go to the very end where she has like practice stuff for every chapter. And I want to see if there's anything for this chapter, even though it's the very first chapter. Okay, so section 1. Okay. So this is what we're going to do in addition to writing down these things on the wall about which synapse are you myelinating, right? We're going to write that down. Did I remember that correctly? What does Kennedy say? Kennedy says, this chapter has already shifted the way I practice. The brain science is really cool. Kennedy has to go. Bye, Kennedy. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm almost done. We're only 3 hours and 4 minutes into this thing. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out what we do, but, here's her advice. And this book is so badass because like everything is practical. Chapter 1, good practicing, how it changes the brain. Start with our hard spots. Figure out why we're having trouble as precisely as we can. Break the problem down into smaller, manageable parts. Solidify the solution using one of the methods below. Pardon me. Play it correctly at least 5 times in a row. And then overlearning. If it took you 10 tries to get it right, do at least 5 correct repetitions. 50% overlearning. 10 is even better. 100% overlearning. That's so cool. Ask yourself, which pathway am I reinforcing by how I'm practicing? Love it. That's what we write, not the myelination. Which pathway am I reinforcing by how I'm practicing? Okay. Intonation. We don't have to do intonation as accordion players, so we don't need to worry about that. But if we did, we'd stop on the note in question, don't adjust it, figure out whether it's flat or sharp. Okay. That's the end of the live stream. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. So let's see. Let me just say goodbye. That's all I got to do. Thank you guys so much. This is a wild stream. Did not turn out like I had intended, but that's all right. Yeah, great book choice. Thank you so much, Molly Gebrian. And Molly, just so you know, I'm sorry that I just read your book. That's, infringing on your copyright, and that's not cool. But I do feel like I'm making book sales for you, and I'm juicing up your importance as an expert in the field. So I think ultimately I'm doing good. I'm sharing the good work that so I'm not just trying to rip you off. Next week and all the subsequent weeks, I won't just read your thing. Ed, bye. Good night. Oh, wait, it's still early. Okay, see you guys. And I don't know, be well, good luck, go out there, protect your communities, be well. Sign up for classes with me if you want.